This is a time where circumstances and spirits put pressure on you to trigger you. If you can make it through this season, you're going to walk really blessed. For me testing it, I know that this is how it is. They're not recognizing it. Why? Their mindset and their filter is walking away from what Jesus said, and their mind is only filtering what they think. When you have a mindset that don't line up with God, you're always going to be disappointed.
In this episode of the Curt Landry podcast, we are just a few days away from the Dire Straits, leading in for the next month till we get to the 9th of Av. And so, Rabbi, in this episode, we really wanted to kind of attack this question, this topic, obviously give some information about the Dire Straits. We're going to be leading in, obviously, to the month of Av. But the question is really how to break off familiar spirits. Now, we've done other content over the past couple years, but this one I think is a little different, especially we're just a couple days away from Dire Straits.
Yeah, well, the Dire Straits is between Tammuz 17 and then the 9th of Av. So that's this window of time. And the reason it's historic to be aware of it is literally on the 9th of Av, the destruction of the first and second temple, when Israel actually gave away the Gaza Strip. It was on the 9th of Av when Ariel Sharon gave the command to remove the Jewish people. And obviously, as we can see now, that was a very bad choice. So I think that the biggest thing about the Dire Straits is this is a time where pressure from outside sources, people, places, circumstances, and spirits put pressure on you to trigger you. And the triggers are an old ancestral generational curses and things that are familiar, fears, doubts, unbelief, pride, rebellion, to make bad decisions that actually cancel your blessings that are coming. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's this window of time between the 17th of Tammuz and the 9th of Av where you really need to be on guard to not let old habits, patterns, thoughts, and behaviors rise up, because the enemy seems to know that if you can make it through this season, you're going to walk really blessed. And so this is a time where the attack intensifies.
So I'm going to do something a little bit different in this podcast. Now that because I'm going to practice it myself. I'm going to test it, right? I'm going to write down day to day while we're in the Dire Straits. And so people listening, people watching, I want to challenge you right now, in just a couple days, I want you to get a notebook out. And throughout this period, I want you to be intentional about the challenges and different things that are actually happening, because I want people to test this, Rabbi. Because for me, I've got, like a lot of big things, a lot of big blessings have kind of happened in my life. And there's a lot of transition and a lot of excitement, right? Kind of going into the rest of this year, at least for me personally. And so I want people, just like I'm going to do, like, let's slow down a little bit. Let's be intentional. And let's just write it down, because this stuff is real as we lead up to the 9th of Av. I mean, I think we did an episode of the 9th of Av. I think last year is one of the most watched and listened to episodes, because you went through a list of all the historical things.
Right. Now, I don't have that list with me. You know what? You may want to look, because I had that. You may want to put it up on the screen. You may have it. But I want to do this. July. This is 2025. So from July 13th is the 17th of Tammuz. And then it goes into August, and the 9th of August the 3rd. So go ahead and write those dates down.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm listen, this is how I got here is exactly what you're thinking. Is I said, okay, if this is for real, quote, it's Old Testament. I'm living now in New Testament times. I need to prove to Curtis that this is for real stuff.
Yeah.
So I can just tell you right now, I could pick up the phone, and right now I could play a trick. I could pick up the phone and call Megan Marcelino right now and say, hey, Megan, your mom and I want to fly out to Napa, and we're thinking about leaving on, let's fly out Sunday, August the 3rd. We're going to fly out. And I guarantee you, she'll say, okay. And then she's going to get her phone out, and the response will be, Daddy, that's the 9th of Av. You're not going anywhere.
Right.
So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like we've been doing this, like as long as she's been born, we know that we don't travel or do stuff we don't tempt the enemy.
Yeah. And, I think of a lot of the teaching, at least over my time, and, we've gone through archives of Shabbats and lessons that you've preached and different podcasts and, that you've had over the years. And, on the topic of spiritual results, and when you combine that with the Hebrew calendar, and I think for people that are trying to figure it out and really get into God's perfect timing and his alignment, I would 100% say that if you're going to test it, be intentional, right? Learn, be open spiritually. If it's biblical and it's truth, test it. Because if you're going to get real spiritual results, if you're going to grow closer to him and do it on a daily basis, and when you fall and you kind of go backwards, you go back and forth, what's going to draw you closer back to him and get past the sin and get correct direction is that you have to test certain things. You've got to study
Absolutely.
it. And it kind of goes back to goals to grow, right? I mean, like if you don't have a good idea of where you want to go this year or in the future, well, I mean, like what are you shooting at?
Yeah.
Like you're just throwing stuff against the wall, see if it's actually going to stick. Every once in a while, something will. You'll think it's some big blessing, some big win in your life. But then you try to repeat the success with it, and it's unpredictable. And so I think for the Dire Straits, I'm not saying test and go out and do something completely wild or something, but what I'm saying is that test it by documenting it with like what's going on in your life, and then on the back end maybe reflect on it and like see what decisions that you made differently or you wish you made differently in that time period, because time's going to reflect on the back end. When you reflect on it, like, man, that was kind of dumb, right? So like maybe next year when this time comes around, I'm going to be more intentional and think a little bit different. Maybe I'm going to hold off on making that big purchase, that big decision, that big move, this, that. I mean, like whatever it is, you got to have something that you can go back and reflect on. Exactly.
I'm just sitting there. I don't have my list, but it was so, Christy and I were in Israel when we were with the soldiers when they were removing the people from Gush Katif out of Gaza. It's one of the most painful things, that we have ever experienced. And I can remember when we were there, in my spirit, I was thinking, here it is, the 9th of Av, this is happening. It actually happened to cover up some political scandal that was getting ready to be exposed. And it did cover it up. The exposure of it happened later. Shortly after that, Ariel Sharon has a stroke and is in a coma for a long period of time. And one of the reasons that the pressure was on Ariel Sharon to get the Jews out of Gaza came from George Bush, President George W. Bush. So George Bush is pressuring Israel to give up land, and then I don't remember because I'm not prepared for this. I'm just talking. We're having a conversation here. But right after that was Katrina. So I'm just saying what we're talking about for me testing it, I know that this is how it is.
Hey guys, if you love this clip and wanted to listen to the full conversation, all you have to do is hit the link at the top of this video's description. And before you go, do us a favor, do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button on your screen right now so that you're able to get notifications every single time a new clips video drops. All right, I'll see you in the next clip.